plate these days, so much excitement going on around the farm, and it's always good to be with you guys today. I hope that you had a great 4th. I trust that you did. And, what amazing holiday it is really to, celebrate our independence, right? It's exciting times there. And, it's kind of funny. I was watching from the farm. It was hot. Okay. I don't like real hot. Okay. We went from 0 to 100 in a quick minute. And a couple of days, like celebration started Sunday here. And then, you'd see all kinds of celebrations until the Big Bang last night. But I decided, you know what, I don't want to go fight the crowds. My family's coming in this weekend. So, I just thought I'm going to enjoy it from the front porch. It was so awesome because I could just see fireworks, all around me, all different places, in the area. But I was far and away on the porch. I really, really enjoyed it. And I trust that you did too. We all know that if we focus on our mission with the magic, we'll also be celebrating financial independence, right? I mean, that's the goal. We have a group headed to the farm here on Monday, and we'll be doing a training. We'll have lunch, and we'll head to the barn to work, right? There's nothing like payback, right? Now, this group asked me if I could train a little bit on how to develop a plan for business and how do you set that in motion. And although I can't possibly cover that topic in an hour or an hour and a half, I can skim the surface and hopefully inspire them to look at their business and planning in a different way. So this request has inspired the message today entitled, "It All Begins at the End." When you think about it, everything in life begins with the end in mind, or at least it should, right? People of faith are a very good example of that. We never lose sight of the end, right? It's the end that inspires us to do what we're supposed to be doing the entire time we're still on the earth drawing breath, right? You can see what it looks like when people of faith lose sight of what the end looks like. They're the ones that are inclined to walk around like they have their Christian membership card punched, and they don't much care about whether others people have one or not, right? They've lost sight of the end. It's the end that propels us, and it's the end, that will focus us, all the other pieces that go along with it. We see it in relationships, people that meet the one, right? They're driven by love, and some of them target the end, and they work through whatever they encounter along the way because of their end, if you will. Their end is to spend all the days of their life together. But you can see what it looks like when people in love focus only on the thrill of the day, right? They lose interest pretty quickly, and relationships end every day, mostly because they never did have a focus on the end. And so it all, kind of fell into play. It all begins at the end. We see it with our children. We begin to see the end from the very moment we hear of their existence. We have plans and dreams for their future. And when we do, we raise them with that end in mind. But we've all seen what it looks like when parents fly by the seat of their pants and they wait for Johnny to express himself or to find himself before they focus on the end goal on behalf of Johnny. And we see it when it comes to their health even, right? We see it all the time in our world. As for me, I driven by the fact that, science at least tells us that my generation is going to be the first to routinely bury its own. And that's from, deterioration of health, by the way. But, instead we shovel junk food at them or fast food at them or processed food at them or stick everything in a microwave or we let them eat too much or we teach them to eat too much, all because we've lost sight of the end to raise up a healthy generation. It all begins at the end. And unless parents work Johnny toward that end, Johnny will often squander his life. And it's sad, but it's true. We definitely see it in our business, that's for sure. And that's where we're going to spend just a few moments here today. So many people aren't focused on the end enough to understand that it's the end that's actually driving their beginning, right? Some have a why, but most of them don't. If I opened up the lines here today, I bet some people be fumbling around, maybe most of them saying, wait a minute, let me think about my why. Some have financial goals, but they aren't set in stone and there's no effort to back them up. Some have dreams, but they aren't walking toward that dream at all. They're just looking at it on a board, but they're not really moving, right? All of these are reasons why so many people aren't soaring. It all begins at the end. The why, the dream, the goal, or whatever else you call it, it has to be set and then worked in reverse, basically. It's like reverse engineering, if you will. So let me give you an example that maybe will help you visualize what I'm trying to get across today. Let's look at a car manufacturer. Let's just pick on Honda for a minute. Now, I have no idea, no earthly idea how far in advance that car manufacturer is working on the design of upcoming new models. I have no idea. 5 years? I don't know. But I do know that when the model is ready for review, when they think they have it there, they think they have what's going to roll off the assembly line at some point, a prototype is built and of that body so that they can see it, right? That's the most important feature for consumers, is what does it look like? And they need to see it in living color. Then that prototype becomes the end. The end is the beginning that sets in place all the work that it's going to take to get there, to achieve the goal, to make that prototype a reality. They don't build the entire car, at one point. They don't bother with it, right? They need to get that prototype in mind. They are trying to determine first what the end's going to be. It's only after they determine what the end result will be that all those other steps will begin to happen. Again, reverse engineering, if you will. And that's exactly what you and I should be doing for our business too. If you have a firm why, a purpose, a goal, again, whatever you happen to call it, unless you work from the end to the beginning, you will never get where you want to go. It takes a lot of parts, some moving parts, some not moving parts to design a good car. But most people, most pieces we can't even begin to understand in that world, right? But all the pieces come together with the end in mind. It takes a goal, a plan, and precision and trial and error to reach the end of anything, right? You don't just get there smooth sailing. Each piece is an integral part of the success that will be born at the end, not at the beginning. So when you consider all that it takes to begin, that it begins at the end and then gets reverse engineered, if you will, from there, hopefully you'll see that what most people in business, whether they're working for themselves, I should say, really doesn't matter what business, most people working for themselves, chasing their own dream, are not doing, what they need to be doing to get where they say they want to go. They're just not doing it. They don't know how and why. They're not reaching the end destination, right? But that's what started them in the journey in the first place. That's like designing the future car and never putting in the effort to build the car itself. Having the prototype's one thing, making it happen's another. If you've identified your why, your goal, your vision, your dream, that's certainly a step in the right direction, but it's not enough. It's not enough to just dream, right? It's not enough to just focus on the end. It's not enough to work on you and self-improvement. All those things are good things, right? And necessary things, but it all begins at the end. And it takes planning and precision to build your business just like it would to build that car. I'm assuming that that your goal or dream has a dollar sign associated with it. Most of us have one with a dollar sign associated with it. And so your planning should be with that dollar sign in mind. That will be the end result of lots and lots of effort. But do you know how to get there besides just saying, well, I need to meet lots of people and I need to do lots of demos? Well, that sounds great. That's like saying to the prototype, well, we need to fill it up with parts, but you don't know how you're getting there, right? Action is a good thing, no doubt about that. But action without the end in mind, with that, that precision that it will take, will work you to death, and you'll be exhausted in the process. And unfortunately, some people will bail out. But the system's not broken and the magic's not broken. You just need to figure out how to realize once and for all that it all begins at the end. At some point, you need to take your end or your goal and break it down into tiny little financial pieces. You need to determine what effort, the number of people to expose your business to or the product to, the number of closed transactions, whether they're personal or within your own team. You need to determine what effort you need to take, always with the end in mind. It always begins at the end. The end will determine your steps. I see so many people working like beavers. They're treading water. They're not, really succeeding, a sale here and there, and they might just throw in that towel unless they begin to build the skill set and set a plan for the end. There's not a thriving business on the planet that just leaves the results to chance. You could say, well, I'm going to open a pizza shop, and you find the location and you find the ovens and you find the tables and you find the chair. You really think that, it would be wise to open that without having any kind of, plan for the end and leave things to chance? I sure hope not. They set the end and they worked, every single angle to be sure that every single stone is not left unturned in order to produce the results that you see at the end. Can you see yourself owning a thriving brick and mortar business, for instance, and leaving it up to employees if they show up, and leaving it up to them what they'll do while they're there? I sure hope not. Can you see yourself owning a thriving brick and mortar business and leaving it up to chance whether or not somebody comes into your place of business or finds your services? I sure hope not. You would keep the end in mind, and every single piece of your efforts would be designed with that end goal, and every single piece of it would have a dollar sign associated to it. So if you want to, retire from your job, then you need to have a clear understanding of what it's going to take to get there. You need to understand what's the money look like, what's it going to take to get there? What do your efforts need to be so that you can finally accomplish that goal? You need to know every single piece of it, and you need to have a dollar sign associated with it. If possible, and if you're willing to put forth the effort, you can make it all happen, right? And if you look at the dollar amount you'll need in order to walk away from a job, you're looking at the end. Then you put all the action items in place that it will take to get you there. How many sales, for instance, direct or not, per month on the average would you need to accomplish the goal? When I do my plan, I plan on my own personal sales at that level. What does Lynn need to do to be sure I accomplish this? And everything else is icing on the cake, right? You need to figure out how many people on the average do I need to reach, do I talk to, that will ultimately lead to a sale, for instance. You might look at it and say, well, it looks like 1 out of 10 kind of thing. But, your averages will go up, and you'll be able to increase your end results as you work on you and your skill set and stay focused on that end. But you do have to have an understanding of it. How many people is it? I've shared this a number of times. People will call sometimes. I'm sure you get the calls too. They're like, I don't know what's going on. I've been sharing water, and they're sharing water. One lady I had over 1 year period had shared water with 70 people and never made a sale. Well, let me tell you something, folks. Something wrong with you if that's happening, right? So you need to take a look at what are your efforts, how many are going to closure, how successful are you being. You've got to have a realistic look at the end result. Once you reverse engineer your finances based on your Enagic goals, you'll be ready to plan those pieces that it's going to take to get there. Every effort, every piece, every hour, every person around you, all of it with the end in mind, and not just on what you may or may not do today. You know what? Everything meaningful in life begins with the end. I shared that with you in the very beginning of the call. It's the focus on the end that gets us there. It's never losing sight of the end that sets all the steps in motion from the end to the beginning. So the first question is, do you have an end in mind? A why, a goal, a purpose, something that will keep you awake at night? Do you have that end? As for me, it's kind of funny because I'm very open with my faith. That's never going to change. And I think people that don't want to hear it just don't call in when I'm on, right? But that's because my priority is, first of all, I focus on that end, the spiritual end, right? That's my purpose for being alive. And so that's the number one thing I do. And I know what that goal looks like. And then I'm focused on my business after that, by the way, because I have it in there too. I want to have my mortgage paid off. I don't want to owe any man anything, and that's the last piece of that pie for me. But it all is intertwined, always focusing on the end. Give you an example. I went into actually a Walgreens the other day. I had a 8x10 reprint done, and I walked in, and the lady, it was such a gloomy day. I mean, it was so gray, and it just, you could have gone right back to bed, right? It was one of those days. And as she was looking for my print, at the counter, she yawned. And I said, man, I'll tell you what, I'm with you. I could go right back to bed. It's such a gloomy day. And she said, I know, right? I've been up, I got up at 4:30. I get up at 4:30 every day is what she said. And I said, 4:30, what time do you have to show up for work? And she said, I have to be here at 7:30. And I said, do you need 3 hours to get yourself ready? I was just making conversation with her, right? My first goal was I wanted her to know that she was important to me. I may be there just picking up a print in a Walgreens, but I want to take every opportunity I can to show my heart, to have compassion, to show somebody I care about them. That's the number one goal. For me, the first being the end spiritually, right? And then right into the business. Well, she went on to say, well, I got to get up because I have horses and I've got to feed my chickens. This is a true story. And she said, and I've got to medicate my dogs before I leave. And I said, wait a minute, time out. What are you talking about? Medicating your dogs. Well, you can imagine how that led into a conversation. Conversation wasn't that I wanted to pounce on her and sell her something. The conversation was, wow, I think I can help you with that. I can help you with your dogs, and I can help you with your schedule. I mean, I really believe I can help you. So she wanted, of course, information. And I said, well, I took the receipt from the store and I flipped it over and said, write your name and number on here. I'm going to text you in a few minutes just to find out what your schedule is. My first goal was the end goal. My first goal was, what is this woman's life? Can I extend compassion? Can I show her that she actually matters in a bigger picture? Second goal is, I can help her with those dogs. I didn't say I could heal those dogs. We're not in the healing business, but I guarantee you everything that has life can benefit from what we have, right? So I know I can do that. It's keeping the end in mind that propelled me to even comment on the poor woman yawning in the store. You got to keep the end in mind. That's always your first priority. Maybe you have an end in your mind, but you don't have a plan. Maybe you haven't reversed that, reverse engineered your business yet. If not, you're likely, it's very possible that you'll wear out or give up unless you're willing to take all the steps that it takes to be able to reach that end. If you haven't set those goals and developed that plan, I would encourage you to do it. Look at the end and reevaluate it. Why are you doing this in the first place? Maybe you need to tweak your why and reevaluate your goals. Maybe your goals have actually changed. Maybe life changed your goals since you first got involved, but look at it, reevaluate it, get yourself excited all over again, and then put a dollar sign to it, a number to it, right? And a time frame. And after that, you take the time to determine what it looks like when it comes down to your actual efforts. How many sales a month will it take, direct or indirect? How many people on the average do you need to meet? Or how many demos do you need to do on the average that will equate to those sales? And by the way, if you're getting in front of lots of people, once again, and you still aren't making a sale, you need to evaluate the way you're presenting what you have. Maybe you need to come along somebody and let them go with you so they can see how you're presenting, because it's not humanly possible to rightly expose what we have to lots of people and nobody's getting on board. So you kind of have to look at yourself. I was telling somebody the other day, I said, how often do we make a phone call, anywhere, and the recording will say, this call is being recorded for training purposes. Well, you know what, folks? There's nothing wrong with doing that in your business. There's absolutely nothing wrong with it saying, by the way, we're doing a three-way call. I just want you to know that it's being recorded for training purposes. When is the last time you hung up when somebody said, this call is being recorded for training purposes? There's nothing wrong with that. If you can't be in front of somebody, then at least work on yourself. Maybe you just need to listen to that afterwards and realize that you weren't focused on the end at all. You got muddled up in the details. So work on it. You are so worth the investment. God knows we have a good vehicle, right? I love the vehicle that I have for, through our business, because it helps me accomplish all kinds of goals with the end in mind. You're worth the investment. The magic is worthy of you putting your time and your effort to. So if it's not happening, I would ask that you consider looking at the end. Go back to the beginning by looking at the end and figure out what you're doing and what you're not doing and why, why you're here. It didn't happen by mistake. Nothing happens by mistake. You're not on this call by mistake. So roll up your sleeves and do your part. Reverse engineer your business. Plan, set out a plan and set some goals and keep moving forward. And that why will absolutely become a reality if you do. If you put in the work, if you set your goals, if you work with the end in mind. Everything meaningful in life begins at the end. So on that note, I want to wish you guys a great day. Go out and make it happen, and just try to ponder every step of the way. What could I need to be doing? Reverse engineer your business, and I guarantee you're going to watch yourself soar. You guys have a blessed day. I'll see you at the top, and I'll see you next week. Take care. Bye-bye.